Right, hi, everyone. Welcome to this free agency edition of Believe in Bills. My name is Adam Benigni of WGRZ TV and Sports Talk Live Buffalo. Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle with us as always. And Sal, it's been quiet for a bit, hasn't it? Fan base
Yeah,
has been restless, but things have come to life here finally as 4 o'clock passes.
yeah. Fans are just crazy, Adam. They're just insane on Twitter. I've been on Twitter for a couple days, and I don't know. Fans just seem to think that everything has to happen in the first 2 days, or even before 4 p.m. Wednesday arrives. Everything has to be done and ready to go. They've still got months of roster building to go. It doesn't all happen in the first day. The Bills, Brandon Beane, who's getting blamed for everything as usual, had to get the salary cap in order before he can really start doing much of anything. I mean, the D. Alford thing was kind of a minor deal, but he had to get the salary cap in order, get the contracts restructured. He made the big move so far to get back Connor McGovern in those first 2 days of negotiating. So once that's put to bed, then the Bills can start looking for outside free agents. And as I made this point on Twitter at about 3:55 p.m., fans have to realize that at 4 o'clock, 5 minutes from then, teams were going to start cutting players left and right. That widens the free agent pool, and those might be the guys that the Bills are thinking about and targeting. So they can't do any of these agreements in the first 2 days on those players. The big names are going to get agreed to in the first 2 days. A team like the Bills in the salary cap situation they're in, they can't play in those waters right away. So calm down, people. They've made their first big splash with Bradley Chubb. There's going to be more to come, I can promise you, but it may not happen all by 7 o'clock Wednesday afternoon here.
All right, let's get into Chubb here at first, and then we can backtrack to some of the other moves that have been made. But that's fresh off the front burner as we record this. There was no question that pass rush had to be a priority for this team. It was. They were in on the Hendrickson situation, and then they quickly pivot to Chubb as 4 o'clock passes here. Former first-round pick. The deal, 3 years, $43 million. This is what's been reported. 3 years, $43 million, worth up to 52.5, with 29 of it guaranteed for the former first-round pick. Sal, there's some ups and downs with this guy. What's your take on this acquisition?
Yeah, I mean, again, swimming in the waters the Bills have to. I never believed for a second, Adam, they were in on Trey Hendrickson. There's just no way they were going to be able to get that done. They would have. I don't know how they would have done it to get under the salary cap. So they can tell the NFL insiders, yeah, we made a call. Well, yeah, I'm sure a bunch of teams made a call. They probably made calls on Max Crosby to maybe work out a trade, but the Bills just aren't going to be able to do that kind of deal. So Bradley Chubb, I mean, he's going to come in. I'm not sure what his salary cap will be the first year. Maybe I'm guessing it'll be about a $10 million hit this first year that they can work with. He's going to be a rotational player for them. Max Crosby plays every snap just about. Trey Hendrickson, when he's healthy, plays a million snaps. The Bills don't do that. Well, they haven't done that in the past with Sean McDermott. I don't know if it'll be greatly different with Jim Leonard, but I would imagine they're going to be in a rotation on the edge, and Chubb's the kind of guy that can be in a rotation. I think he played 700 and something snaps for the Dolphins last year, so he was on the field an awful lot. I don't think that's going to be the case in Buffalo. So at that price point, that's not a terrible deal. Am I enamored by the player? His injury history worries me, right?
Right.
He missed all of 24 with the ACL. He had 2 years in Denver before he got traded to Miami, where he missed most of 2 seasons. So he's had a history of injuries. So you run that risk, but hey, like I said, this is where the Bills have to shop. And a guy who had 11 sacks last year for a division rival, who we now hurt by taking him away, that's okay by me.
The position, I mean, there's no question they had to address that, right? I mean, this has been, put it in context, this has been a shortcoming of this team and this organization for a long time. And it's been under Brandon Beane, dating back to the first AFC Championship game lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. Chubb doesn't necessarily, well, he can be an answer for some part of it. But I mean, there's enormous pressure on that aspect, Buffalo's pass rush, they need to be far more consistent moving forward for this team to realize its ultimate goal of getting to and winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, and not even more consistent, Adam, but more productive. They just have not had that top end production. You know, we've talked about this a million times. Von Miller got off to a good start, got hurt, and that was a busted deal. From then on, he was never the same player. Joey Bosa started pretty well last year. He was one of the top rated, according to Pro Football Focus, one of the top rated edge rushers for about the first 7 or 8 weeks. And then he kind of hit a wall. He got hurt, never was the same player, disappeared in the playoffs. Michael Hoyt, we saw nothing from him. So yeah, I mean, he keeps taking swings and they just haven't worked out. We've talked here about Greg Rousseau, how he's a good player. He is really a guy that has helped him, but he's never been a dominant type of game-changing edge rusher. So I'm not sure Bradley Chubb is going to be that at this point, but I guess you got to keep taking swings and eventually maybe you're going to hit on one of these guys again. I think he'll be a good player if he stays healthy to be in a rotation. He won't play as much as he played in Miami, but the Bills don't really need him to play as much as that. They've got Rousseau, Hoyt. They can probably get Javon Solomon into the mix with this different defense this year. And I do believe they're going to pick somebody in the draft. So there'll be competition and he'll be one of the guys in that edge rusher group.
All right. So looking at, everything kind of in full here. I mean, you mentioned the D. Alford situation. They bring the Taron Johnson, they deal him. Many people thought he would potentially take a run at safety, but the Bills didn't see it that well. Let's address the Alford situation. Here's a guy who certainly is geared toward playing nickel corner, but I think more than anything, the takeaway from this, Sal, is a shift in philosophy under Jim Leonard, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, D. Alford, I don't think is the player that Taron Johnson was in his best years for sure. He's been kind of a mediocrity. I looked at his numbers in Atlanta. He's a terrible run defender. Last year, he was one of the worst run defending cornerbacks in the NFL. So that's a problem you have to think about. But also remember this, Adam, in this new defense, he's not going to be on the field like Taron Johnson was. Taron Johnson in his prime, which is really, I'd say 21 to 23 maybe. He played an average of almost 90% of the snaps per game. Yeah. They were in that nickel defense the whole time. D. Alford is not going to be that player. If D. Alford's on the field, I estimate 50 to 60% of the snaps, assuming he wins the job and he's healthy. That's all you're going to see. This is a different defense. It's not going to be the same defense where they relied on Taron Johnson. So from that perspective, fine. Let's see what he's got. I mean, he had a pick against the Bills last year. He's made some plays. He's had some ball production. I think he had 13 pass breakups last year, which was a career high. But that's certainly not a signing that is going to make a huge impact on the defense. I think he's going to be a guy that'll fit in and do a job that they now have an opening for.
Let's get to Connor McGovern because I understand the frustration among the fan base, but that was a major
It was
for this team. I mean, Josh Allen, the continuity there, all of what he brings to the table, his effectiveness in that role, right? I mean, really, talk about having an answer for the departure of Mitch Morse. I mean, this guy has been it. And it was not a foregone conclusion they were going to be able to get this done. In fact, Tim Graham of The Athletic did some very good reporting, quoting him. McGovern thought he was on his way somewhere else, and they were able to get it done. So given the frustration of the fan, I don't think you should overlook the significance of bringing McGovern back.
No, Adam, that's going to end up, no matter what they do from here on out, that's going to be one of the biggest signings they made this whole offseason. I thought it was pivotal that they got that done. I never thought they were going to get them both back. And there was a point, again, really after Tim's article, that I was thinking, well, maybe they're not going to bother with McGovern, but they've got to get one of these guys back. So I thought maybe they were going to focus on David Edwards, even though he went for a little bit more money. I'm glad it was McGovern. Look, I liked David Edwards. He's a terrific player. He did very well with that deal in New Orleans, but to get the center back, it's just a more important position than guard. And he's got the relationship with Josh. He's the guy making line calls up front. He's helping Josh in that area, which people overlook. They don't understand the importance of a center. It's not just hiking the ball and blocking. There's a lot to it. So I didn't think they'd get them both back. I was hopeful they'd get one, and I was hopeful even more that it's McGovern, and they did do that. So I think that was really important. Adam, going into a season minus 2 really good offensive linemen, that would have been a tough pill to swallow
Yeah.
for a team that's in a win now mode, right? To have to replace 2 of those guys. So I'm telling you, fans aren't going to like to hear it because they want new things. But getting McGovern back will end up being one of the most important signings they have this whole offseason.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. All right, so they knew something was going to get done with Dawson Knox, Sal. Something had to be done given the state of his contract, but they're able to get him back on a more reasonable deal. What's your take there?
Yeah, Adam, 2 months ago, I was wondering what they were going to do with Knox. Obviously, he couldn't play at the number at 17 million on a cap hit this year. I thought maybe they would release him and get the full refund, not refund, get the most cap space available they could. But as it kind of went on, you could tell that they really didn't want to do that. They want to keep him on the team. He is a valuable member. He's a good player for them, a great guy in the locker room. And of course, Josh Allen's good friend, which we all know that carries a lot of weight in that locker room these days. That he seems to be making all the calls, negotiating Connor McGovern's deal, apparently. So, getting him back was, I think, a good move. We don't know the numbers yet. Usually we have these numbers by now. Spot Track didn't get them. Even today, I haven't seen it. So I'm guessing it's probably his cap hit will probably be cut in half, maybe down to around 9 million, and they get the extension so they can push it out a little further. But it's a good move. I don't have a problem with it. He's a good player. And with Kincaid's injury history, it'll be nice to have Dawson Knox around.
You mentioned Josh Allen, integral in all of the moves so far. You're right. Which speaks to his place, within the organization and what he's earned and the influence that he obviously has. A big part of this was the restructuring of his contract to clear an incredible amount of money. I mean, the way they did this, and I'm no accountant or mathematician, right? But to get upwards of $40 million cleared.
No. That was wrong. That was wrong. That was Field Yates. That went out this morning, Adam, and that created a tornado of chaos because that was never. As soon as he tweeted that out, I said, "Yeah, he screwed that up," because it's very clearly they could only do.
You know what? Stop right there. Here, let's do Knox in that again. I'll just have him. We'll make it clean. I just saw that 40 million, and I haven't.
No, he screwed that up. That had to be.
All right, so let me do this. Let me do this. So let's not even go there. All right, so now it's 19 minutes. Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. So they knew they had to do something in terms of Dawson Knox, in terms of his contract number, right? They did, and they're able to bring him back.
Yes. Dawson Knox, a couple months ago, Adam, I would have said, yeah, maybe it's time to move on from him, given the production level and the salary cap. That was a dumb contract when they gave it to him, Adam. I never was fully on board with it, and it was kind of coming home to roost. But as the months have gone on now, I kind of understand why they want to bring him back. Reduce salary, of course. He's an important player for them. He's a valued veteran, a good guy in the locker room. He's still a productive player as a backup to Dalton Kincaid. And with Kincaid's injury history, you kind of needed to keep him around. So they're going to bat that back probably about. Usually Spot Track has the numbers out. We haven't seen them yet, which is a little bit unusual. So I wonder what's happening there. But I'm going to guess he's probably going to count maybe around 9 million on the cap for this year. So at that price point, they gave him an extension. So you push it out a little further. I think it's fine. I think it was important to bring him back. And, Josh Allen, he's his buddy, which we all know is very important, Adam. He seems to be making a lot of calls at one Bills drive. The quarterback is getting some unprecedented power over there. And I've never been a fan of that for a player, but if anybody's going to have that kind of power, I guess Josh Allen's the guy to give it to.
Yeah, I mean, he's earned it, right? I mean, and he carries a lot of weight within that organization, and we'll see how that plays out into the season and what actually happens. I mean, he had a role not directly in the hiring of the coach, but was in the interviews, and a lot was made of that. And so it's that influence that, could lead to very good things, or that there is a downside to that too. So we'll see how that plays out moving forward. Nonetheless, the restructuring of his contract helped to move things forward, get things done, not the least of which was the J.D. Moore trade and getting that through. So they have their receiver by a trade as well. We should also mention that it's lumped in with the moves that have been made here to try and improve this roster. So based on the math, and you've crunched the numbers to whatever extent, how much room does he have, and what might you expect moving forward here?
Yeah, I mean, the Josh Allen lever, we knew he was going to pull at some point. He waited till this morning to do it, what was funny about that, Adam, I don't know if you were on social media, but oh my God, what a tornado of chaos this morning. Field Yates erroneously put out that they redid the deal and it freed up $40 million. And I looked at it, and I know for a fact that the only thing they were going to be able to do was get $12 million in cap relief this year. So I did not know. I even put a tweet out like, I'm dying to know how they're going to get $40 million. What did they do? And really the only way they could have done it, I think, is if they had torn up his contract again and given him a new deal for a longer term, beyond the one he just signed. So shortly, about not even a half hour, 20 minutes later, as social media was blowing up, Field, who I know is a good guy and a good reporter, but he screwed it up. He owned up to it and said, my mistake. It's not 40 million. It's only 12. So yeah, they only got 12 out of Josh. It's 12 million important because they needed it. And he's going to be on the team, right? And you could push money forward with Josh Allen and you're not going to have to worry about it. Same thing with Ed Oliver when they did his deal a few days ago. You're pretty confident Ed Oliver is going to be on the team through the term of his contract. So you can do it. Deion Dawkins might be the next guy they would do it with because they could get some, I think it's about 11 more million they could open up, but I don't know. We'll see. We don't know where they sit right now. They've got to be pretty tight though, Adam, because you got to factor in the McGovern deal, the DJ Moore contract, which has been reduced. It'll be reduced by about 17 million. And then what this Bradley Chubb hit is going to cost them. They are dancing a thin line here on the salary cap. So he may have to do some more restructuring or player releases to create some more space to do some shopping.
All right. So that's the situation as it stands right now. Again, the Bills add a pass rusher in Bradley Chubb, now formerly of the Miami Dolphins. So for Sal Maiorana of the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, I am Adam Benigni of WGRZ TV and Sports Talk Live Buffalo. FanDuel, presenting sponsor for this show and others on the Believe Network. Bills, AFC East favorites for 2026 at minus 145, and now starting to make moves to that effect. So it's a long way to go between now and then. Free agency, though, officially underway with the passing of 4 o'clock. And we will be with you here on Believe in Bills as situations and acquisitions as things continue to develop. So for Sal, I'm Adam. Thanks for being with us, as always.